will tell you his journey ended in failure. And again, his conquistadors were taken, cursed.
Jungle fought our every step to protect the arrowhead and their sacred tree. He cursed Aguirre, he cursed all of us. We fought.
Okay, so imagine this. You are a man who has been alive for over 400 years. 400 years. You have watched empires rise and fall. You have seen the Amazon River flood and recede hundreds of times. You have buried friends, well, not literally buried them because they can't die either, because you have watched everything you know slowly rot away and disappear. And in all that time, through all of that, you have never once been able to just leave. You can't go more than a few hundred meters from the river without something pulling you back like invisible chains, and you can't die. You can get stabbed, shot, drowned, swallowed by your own body, which is now partially made of bees. Yes, bees, and you just keep going. That's the situation Frank Wolf is in when Jungle Cruise begins. And crazy thing is, the movie almost sells it like it's no big deal almost. Welcome back. Today we are diving deep, and I mean genuinely deep, into Disney's Jungle Cruise from 2021. Not just what happens in it, but what it's actually about, what it's trying to say, why it works in some places and absolutely fumbles the balls in others, and honestly why I think this movie is way more interesting than most people gave it credit for, even when it's kind of a mess. Let's go. Alright, so for anyone who has not seen it, and even if you have, let me just frame it quickly. Jungle Cruise is a 2021 Disney movie directed by John Collet-Serra, starring Don Johnson and Emily Blunt. It's based on the Disney theme park attraction of the same name, which has been running at Disneyland since 1955. The ride is famously cheesy. You get on a boat, a tour guide makes terrible puns, you float past animatronic hippans and fake natives, and it's, charming in that very old school Disney way. Now, here's the thing about making a movie out of a theme park ride. Disney has tried this before. Haunted Mansion, Pretty Bad, Tomorrowland, mixed results. The Country Bears. Look, we don't talk about that one, but Pirates of the Caribbean. That was lightning in a bottle. That genuinely worked, and I think what happened with Jungle Cruise is that Disney looked at what made Pirates work and tried to do with the exact same thing. Same rough blueprint, charismatic male lead with a secret, strong-willed woman who drives a plot, some supernatural mythology layered underneath, lots of action and comedy mixed together. And honestly, on paper, with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt, this should have been slam dunk. It was not quite a slam dunk, but it was not a miss either. The movie is set in 1916, right in the middle of World War I. Dr. Lily Horton, botanist, scientist, woman who has absolutely refuses to let her man-dominated world slow her down, has been researching a mythical tree in the Amazon called the Tears of the Moon, or more specifically, Lagrimas the crystal, a tree whose petals can supposedly cure any disease, heal any wound, lift any curse. She believes finding these petals could revolutionize medicine and change everything about how the war and all of the humanity handles illness. She steals an ancient arrowhead from the Royal Society in London, which she believes is the key to locating the tree, and heads to Brazil with her brother MacGregor in tow. In Brazil, she hires Frank Wolf, con man, boat captain, terrible joke teller, to take her down the Amazon. What she doesn't know, and what the movie slowly peels back, is that Frank is a hell of a lot more than appears, and that's where the real story starts. The film runs about 2 hours and 7 minutes. It's rated PG-13, and it was released on July 30, 2021, both in theaters and on Disney Plus with Premier Access, which means you had to pay extra to watch it streaming, which, as we will get into later, is a whole thing. Now let's get into actual interesting stuff. Okay, so I want to talk about specific moments in this film that I think actually matter, not just scenes that are cool looking or fun, but scenes that carry weight, scenes that change how you understand the rest of the movie. I have picked 7 of them, and I'm gonna talk about why each one works, and in a couple cases why they almost don't. The movie opens in 1556, not 1916, and I think this is actually a genuinely smart choice that a lot of people brush past. We start with Don Aguirre leading a group of Spanish conquistadors through the Amazon jungle looking for the tears of the moon, and the motivation here is actually really human. His daughter is dying. He believes these flower petals can save her. That's it. That's the original scene of the whole film. A father so desperate to save his child that he leads men to their deaths, and when he finally reaches the people who know where the tree is, the Puka Mishona tribe, they help him. They heal the survivors, and then because Aguirre can't stop himself because he's a conquistador, thorough he demands to know where the tree is. The chief says now, and Aguirre kills him and burns the village. Here's what gets me about this scene. Aguirre starts as someone we can almost feel sympathy for, a desperate parent, but the moment he gets what he needs, healing for his people, he immediately reverts to the violence and colonialism that defines who he is actually. The tribe saves him and he repays them with fire, and because of that, the dying chief curses Aguirre and all conquistadors with immortality, which sounds like a gift until you understand the fine print. They can never leave the Amazon, they can never die. They are trapped there forever, their bodies slowly being colonized by the jungle itself, snakes, bees, roots, water. The thing they try to conquer is literally growing inside them. That's okay. That's dark in a way the film barely pauses to acknowledge, but it's there. And Francisco Lopez, the Herdia, was among those conquistadors, but he was the one who switched sides. When Aguirre attacked the village, Frank helped the tribe. He eventually trapped the other conquistadors in a pit away from the river, and then he spent the next 400 years trying to find the tree himself so he could back his own curse. That backstory is way heavier than the rest of the movie's tone suggests, and I think that tonal mismatch is one of the film's core problems. But let's not jump ahead. The scene in London where Lily steals the arrowhead from the Royal Society is one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I don't think it gets enough credit. It's not just a fun heist sequence, though it is that. It's establishing everything we need to know about Lily Houghton as a character in about 3 minutes flat. McGregor is in the room giving a presentation to the society on Lily's behalf because women are not allowed in. And while he's doing that with Lily literally feeding him lines from below through a grate in the floor, she's climbing the outside of the building, breaking into the collection room and stealing the arrowhead. She is doing this while wearing a full period appreciate dress while climbing the outside of a building in London. And here's the little detail I love. She's wearing trousers under the dress. When she strips off the outer layer to climb, McGregor's earlier line of "Are you wearing pants under your pants?" makes perfect sense. She planned for this, she always plans. The scene tells you she's smart, she's physically capable, she refuses to be defined by the limitations her era places on her, and she will absolutely not wait for permission to do what she thinks is right. So she doesn't ask the Royal Society to give her what she needs, she just takes it. And yes, you could argue that makes her morally a little grey too, but in context, she is absolutely right to do it, and the film makes sure you know it. This is the moment Frank gets hired, and it's also where the movie shows its hand about what kind of character Frank is. Lily needs a guide. Frank initially dismisses her, pretending to be the harbor master and talking down to her. Then the real harbor master shows up. Frank's bluff is called, and things get a little tense, but the moment that steals the deal is when a jaguar, a real actual jaguar, attacks, and Frank fights it barehanded, well mostly, and he wins. It's an insane, over the top, very Danny Johnson sequence, but then, and this is the bit that matters, it turns out the jaguar is his pet. He named her Proxima, she's trained. The whole thing was staged. So, on one hand, okay, that's funny, but on the other hand, it's also the first hint that Frank lives in the world of performance. He is constantly staging something. His stores are fake, the dangers are fake, the Jagger fights was fake. Even the way he presents himself, the gruff, been everywhere, seen it all captain, is a performance layered over the deeply lonely, deeply tired man underneath. He's been doing this for 400 years. At some point, putting on a show is probably the only way to keep going. Lily sees thorough part of the performance, but not all of it. Not yet. And that gap between what she knows and what we slowly learn is what drives the film's best dramatic variant. Okay, so there's this scene in the middle of the film where Frank, Lily, and McGregor are captured by what appears to be a tribe of cannibals. Spears, war paint, the whole thing. Lily is furious. She is angry at Frank angry at the danger, ready to go to war with the situation, and then it turns out it's a setup. The tribe is actually Frank's friend, the actual Puka Mycona, who he's had on a retainer as a part of his fake danger tours. They were just playing cannibals for the tourists, and more importantly, their chief, Trader Sam, translates the arrowhead and tells Lily something crucial. Trader Sam, the tree only blooms under a blood moon. Now here's what I want to focus on, because I think this scene gets dismissed as comic relief when there's actually something more interesting happening. The Puka Mycuna in this film are interesting in a complicated way. On one hand, having indigenous characters pretend to be cannibals, even if it's explicitly a fake tourist attraction in the story, is a choice. A choice the film has to answer for. The movie is definitely aware of the history of jungle adventures and colonial tourism's ugly relationship with indigenous people, and at the times it tries to subvert that, but having the tribe participate in their own caricature, even willingly, even for comedy, doesn't fully escape that trap. On the other hand, Trader Sam, specifically played by Veronica Falcon, is presented as someone with real power, real knowledge, and genuine relationship with Frank, built on mutual respect over hundreds of years. She is not a sideshow. She is one of the most important sources of actual truth in the film, and Frank defers to her in a way he doesn't defer to almost anyone. It's messy. The film is messy about it. And I think that messiness is worth acknowledging rather than just skipping past. This is the big one, the twist, and for a lot of people, I think this is where the movie either earns them or loses them entirely. Lily shoots Frank, not fatally. She doesn't know it won't kill him, but she shoots him and he goes into the river. He dies seemingly, and she is devastated because by his point, despite everything, she trusts him, she cares about him, and then the next morning he is just there, fine, making coffee, and that's when it comes out. Frank is not Frank Wolf. His name is Francisco Lopez de Heredia, and he's been alive since the 1500s. He was one of the Aguirre's men. He's been trapped at the Amazon for 400 years, unable to die, unable to leave, waiting for someone with the arrowhead who could finally show him where the tree is so he could break the curse and just rest. What I love about this scene is how Emily Blunt plays it. She is not horrified, she is not repulsed, she is quite processing, and then she says something like, "How long have you been waiting?" And there's this wait in his answer, 400 years. Think about what that means. Everyone he's ever cared about is dead. Everyone he's ever known is dust. He's watched the world changed from conquistadors to colonialism to World War I, and through all of it, he has been stuck at the river, running fake boat tours, making terrible puns, keeping himself from going completely mad by staying busy. It reframes every single scene that came before it, the boat full of sketches and research and maps. And he was not just curious, he's been obsessively working on this for centuries. The fake dangers, they are not just a con, they are what passes for meaning in an endless existence. The jaguar named Proxima, she is one of a long line of jaguars, all given the same name because connections keep ending, and he's learned that naming things after something eternal at least gives them continuity. Frank's reveal is genuinely emotionally resonant, and Danny Johnson, who doesn't always get credit for this, plays it with real vulnerability. The climax of the film has everyone converging on the tree: Frank, Lily, Aguirre, Joachim, the cursed conquistadors. The tree blooms under the blood moon, but only briefly, and there's only one petal for each cursed person. One petal breaks a curse, one petal lifts immortality, and here's a moment that works maybe more than any other action beat in the film. Frank tells Lily he needs to sacrifice himself. He crashes his boat into the river's flow, cutting off the water to the temple. This drags Aguirre and the other conquistadors back into the stone walls of the temple, their curse pulling them back to the river, and with the river blocked, they're frozen inside permanently. It's brutal, actually, when you think about it. These men, already having suffered 4 centuries of cursed immortality, are now entombed in stone forever, conscious forever, and Frank turns to stone too. But Lily uses a petal on him and she breaks his curse, which means for the first time in 400 years, Francisco Lopez de Heredia is mortal again. He is free to live, he is free to die, and the film presents this as a happy ending, which, yes, actually it is, because death is not the tragedy here. The tragedy was never being able to rest. I want to highlight this because it's a small moment, but it carries everything at the end. The Royal Society, the same institution that barred Lily from membership at the start of the film, offers her full membership. Her research is vindicated. She found the tree, she has proof. They want her now, and she knows, and she says no, politely, clearly no, and it's McGregor who speaks for her, which is its own beautiful bit of character development, because at the beginning on he could barely get through a speech without her feeding him lines, and he tells him essentially that she doesn't need their validation. She never did. That's the thematic payoff of the whole film. It's not about the tree. It's not really about the adventure. It's about a woman who refused to let an institution define her worth. And at the end of the story, when that institution finally offers her what it withheld, she is moved so far beyond needing it that their offer is almost kind. That's good writing when it works. Jungle Cruise genuinely works. Alright, let's talk about people, because I think this is where Jungle Cruise has the most to offer and almost where it stumbles the hardest. The characters in this film are fascinating ideas that don't always get the space they deserve. Let me start with Frank, because he is the most psychologically complex character in the movie, arguably more complex than Lily, even though she's ostensibly the protagonist. Think about what Frank actually is. He's a man who made a moral choice 400 years ago that was unquestionably the right thing to do. He sided with the oppressed against the oppressor. He betrayed his own group to protect innocent people by any measure. That's heroic, and his reward, because life is sometimes cruel and stories know that, is 4 centuries of isolation. He didn't get to die a hero. He didn't get a legacy or a grave or anyone to remember him. He got more time, an infinite amount of time that he didn't ask for and can't escape. And what did he do with it? He built something, a boat, a business, a community, after a fashion, with Trader Sam and the tribe. He filled the emptiness with noise, bad jokes, fake adventures, gullible tourist, not because he's frivolous, but because the alternative to filling the silence is sitting inside it, and 4 centuries is a long time to sit with silence. There's something deeply Buddhist about Frank's situation. Actually, I don't think the film fully leans into it. The idea of a soul that can't move on because of unfinished business, the idea that even the right choice carry consequences, the idea of attachment to the river, to the past, to a version of yourself that's been frozen in time while everything else changes. Frank is also defined by his dishonesty, and this is interesting because the film asks us to root for him while acknowledging that he's a con man. He lies constantly. His entire professional life is a fabrication. Even when he finally tells Lily the truth about himself, he withholds the most important information for the most of the second act. He hides that he knows where the tree is. He hides his true identity. He hides everything until circumstances strip away his ability to hide. And yet, and this is the one thing that makes him likable rather than just shady, his dishonesty is never predatory. He is not lying to hurt anyone. He is lying to survive, to get through another century, to keep himself from falling apart. When the stakes are genuinely high, when it actually matters, Frank makes the right call every time. He gave up being on the winning side 400 years ago to do what was right. He does it again at the end of the film. The thing the movie gets most right about Frank is his exhaustion. Not depression exactly, but a kind of weary tiredness that comes from living too long. Danny Johnson, who is, let's be honest, not known for playing introspective, haunted characters, actually finds something real here. There's a scene where he's just sitting at the back of the boat, watching the jungle go by, and look on his face is just tired. Not sad, not angry, just the look of a man who has seen all of this before many times. The character arc for Frank is essentially learning to want things again. He stopped wanting anything centuries ago because wanting things when you can't die and can't live is a form of torture. And then Lily shows up, this impossible, brilliant, unstoppable woman who genuinely believes she can change the world, and she reawakens something in him, not just romantically, though that's part of it. She reminds him why he chose the tribe over Aguirre in the first place. She reminds him that there are things worth fighting for. Lily is on paper one of the more interesting female characters Disney has put together in recent years. For a live-action adventure, she is not defined by a romantic relationship. She is not waiting to be rescued. Her expertise is real and drives the plot forward, and Emily Blunt plays her with this relentless, almost exhausting energy that I mean entirely as a compliment. But here's my honest take. Lily's psychologically is underwritten compared to Frank's. The film knows she's interesting but doesn't always trust the audience to find her interesting without constant action. She doesn't have a real flaw, or rather, her flaws are stubbornness and impulsiveness, which are typically presented as charming rather than genuinely problematic. What I mean is, Frank has wounds, real, ancient, psychologically rich wounds. Lily has determination, which is wonderful, but determination doesn't create dramatic tension the same way wounds do. She never genuinely doubts herself in a way that costs her something. She's always right. She always pulls off the impossible thing, and while that's empowering, it also means she never really gets a scene where she has to sit with failure and figure out who she is in the absence of success. The character I think the film is going for, and the one that almost exists, is someone who has spent her whole life being told she doesn't belong in the space she's brilliant in. The Royal Society won't even let her attend the meeting where her own research is presented. Her field dismisses her. Her gender is used as an excuse to limit her at every turn, and her response to all of that is to become utterly, completely, defiantly self-sufficient. She doesn't need validation because she's trained herself not to need it. That's actually a really interesting psychological portrait. A woman who's learned to live entirely inside her own conviction because the external world has given her nothing else to stand on. But the film sometimes shortcuts past the vulnerability that would make that portraits truly devastating. We understand her history without really feeling it. That said, and I want to be fair here, the ending scene with the Royal Society does give her a beautiful moment. She turns down their offer to membership after everything she's accomplished, after proving everyone wrong. She doesn't want their prize, and that lands. That's Lily at her best. She didn't do any of this to be let into their club. She did it because it mattered. McGregor is the most complicated character in this film, and the one I have the most feelings about. Some of them conflicting. On the surface, he is the comic relief, the overdressed, out of place, slightly cowardly brother who brings trunks full of inappropriate luggage into the Amazon, and for the first act or so, that's mostly all he is. Jokes about his skincare routine, jokes about how many trunks he brought, jokes about how he can't lift an axe compared to Frank, and then about halfway through the film there's a kite scene. McGregor and Frank are sitting together without Lily, and Frank is complaining about Lily's stubbornness, and McGregor explains why he's here, why someone who is so clearly not built for this kind of adventure would follow his sister into the Amazon. He tells Frank that his family disowned him, that he would refuse 3 marriage proposals to women because his interests happily lie elsewhere. And when Frank gets it, when he understands the McGregor is telling him, he doesn't make it weird, he doesn't recoil. He just raises his canteen and says quietly to elsewhere, and they drink. I'm going to be honest, I kind of love that moment in the context of a big budget Disney blockbuster aimed at all ages in the setting of 1916, where being guy could get you imprisoned, ostracized, destroyed. Having that moment handled with that much quiet dignity matters. McGregor doesn't have to perform his confession. Frank doesn't have to perform his acceptance. They just are two men sitting with the truth. It's gentle and it's real and it's work. The problem is what the film does around that moment. Before and after that scene, McGregor is frequently the target of jokes that undercut exactly what then coming out moment tried to say. The bite down on my stick joke is the visual contrast between his soft masculinity and Frank's physical perfection, the constant framing of McGregor's lack of traditional masculine traits as things to laugh at. Now, to be fair, some critics argued that the jokes themselves are not about his sexuality, they are about his physical unsuitability for the jungle, and that those are two different things. And I think that's partially true, but there's also something uncomfortable about the fact that in a film where the two straight leads get to be heroic and romantic,
physically impressive, the gay character's primary function is to fail at things and be laughed at. He grows by the end, he sheds some layer, literally and metaphorically, but the film never quite touched him the way it touched Lily and Frank. What saved McGregor for me ultimately is Jack Whitehall's performance. He brings genuine warmth to the character. He clearly loves Lily with all his heart, and that's not played for laughs. It's played straight. It's one of the most unironic brother-sister relationship in a Disney adventure. And his final scene, where he addresses the Royal Society with total confidence and turns down their offer on Lily's behalf, is legitimately triumphant. He grew, the character grew. I just wish the film had given him more room to breathe and had trusted that you can be funny and gay without the gay part being what makes you a punchline. I want to spend a moment on Edgar because Edgar Ramirez is genuinely doing something interesting with the role that the film somewhat wastes. Edgar is presented as the historical antagonist, the man who started the curse 400 years ago through violence and greed. And when he shows up in 1916, freed from his centuries of partification by the German prince Joachim. His goal is vengeance, specifically vengeance against Frank for tapping him. Ramirez plays Igor with this quiet, devastated fury that's really compelling. This is a man who was once a father, desperately trying to save his child. He made a terrible choice and has been punished beyond all proportion for it. 400 years of immortal imprisonment, watching time pass around you, slowly begun slowly being replaced by snakes and insects until you are not really human anymore. You can argue he deserved the punishment. You can also sit with the fact that a father's love for a dying daughter is what started all of this. Both of those things are true at once. The problem is Prince Joachim, played by Jazz Plemons, who is assigned to be the real villain in the present day storyline. And Joachim is fine. He is eccentric, he is over the top. Jazz Plemons clearly had fun with it, but he is also kind of cartoonishly evil in a way that does not match the moral complexity of Aguirre's story. He wants the tree for Germany, wants immorality for himself, has a submarine. He is more of a plot obstacle than a character. The film has two villain threats and does not quite do justice to either one. Argue deserved more, a real conversation with Frank, a real reckoning with what he did and what it cost them both. And Josham deserved less, a reduction in screen time that could have been given to the far more interesting stuff. Okay, so here where I want to go a bit deeper, because I think Jungle Cruise on its surface looks like a lightweight adventure movie, and technically it kind of is, but there are layers in here that I think most people walked past. This is the big one, and it's right on the surface. Once you see it, Edgar and his men go to the Amazon. They are colonizers, literally in the historical sense. They come from Europe. They impose their will on an indigenous population. They kill the people who refuse to give them what they want, and their punishment is that they become part of the Amazon. The jungle grows into them. Snakes where there used to be organs, roots in place of bones, bees filling the space their humanity used to occupy. Think about what that means symbolically. The land they tried to conquer literally colonized them back. The jungle does not just reject them, it consumes them. It makes them part of itself, but not in a good way, in a horrifying, parasitic, hollowing out way. They remain human enough to suffer, but they are no longer entirely human. They are becoming part of the thing they try to dominate. That's a really pointed metaphor about colonialism and its consequences. The idea that the violence you do to a land and a people does not stay over there, it comes back. It gets inside you, it changes what you are, and it traps you. You cannot move forward, you can't leave, you are stuck with what you did in the place where you did it for as long as the land decides to hold you. Now, does the film fully commit to this reading? Not entirely. It gets fuzzy when you factor in Frank, who is also a cursed conqueror, but it's presented as basically heroic. But I think that actually makes the metaphor more interesting, not less. Frank represents the possibility of choosing differently, of recognizing what your group is doing and refusing to participate. He still gets the curse because he was there. There are no clean hands in colonialism, even for those who try to do the right thing, but the curse can be broken for him when the time is right because of the choice he made. The Tales of the Moon, or Lagrimas, the crystal, is a tree that can cure disease, heal wounds, and lift curses. It only blooms under a blood moon. Multiple groups have been looking for it for centuries. It's been used as a symbol for a bunch of different things by different groups. For Lily, it's a scientific progress. It's the key to advancing medicine in a time when the world is at war and people are dying in the millions. She wants to bring it back to civilization and use it to save lives. That's a genuinely noble goal. For Agur, 400 years ago, it was hope for a sick child. For the Germans in 1916s, it's a weapon, healing their soldiers, making key figures immortal, giving Germany an advantage in the war. For Frank, it's a freedom, the only thing that can end 4 centuries of suffering. Same tree, completely different meanings depending on who you are and what you need. And I think that's intentional. The film is saying something about how a single thing, a piece of technology, a piece of nature, a resource, does not have one inherent meaning or purpose. Its meaning is determined entirely by the hands that reach for it and the hearts that want it. The tree is not good or evil. The tree just is. What it becomes depend on who gets to it and what they are willing to do with it. This connects disconnect interestingly to a lot of real world debates about things like scientific discoveries, natural resources in indigenous territories, medical breakthroughs that get patient and control. The film does not push these connections very hard, but they are there if you want to follow the thread. I keep coming back to this. Frank has been trapped at the Amazon River for 400 years. He can't leave sight of it without being pulled back. If he is forced away, he petrifies, literally turns to stone, but stay conscious. He can feel everything and do nothing. That is purgatory by any definition, theological, philosophical, metaphorical. That is a soul stuck between what it was and what it could become, unable to move in another direction. Purgatory in traditional Christian theology is a place of purification. You are there because of things you did and you stay until those things are addressed. Frank is there because of things Agur did, not just his own actions, which make it even more tragic. He is praying for other people's sins on top of his own, but he does have his own work to do, his own reckoning with the choices he made, with the people he could not save, with the centuries of loneliness. And it's Lily, specifically her belief and her courage, that provides the final key to his release, which is interesting, right? Because what breaks the curse is not just the flower petal. Technically, the petal is the mechanism, but the thing that actually changed Frank is being known, being truly seen by someone who understands what he is carrying. Lily shoots him, learn he can't die, and instead of running or using that information selfishly, she asks him to tell her the truth, and he does. And she does not leave. That's the emotional breaking of the curse. The petal is just the physical finishing touch. Okay, bear with me on this one because I know it sounds weird. The puns, the terrible, grown worthy. I got a joke about construction. I am still working on it. Level puns that Frank tells throughout the film. These are taken directly from the actual Jungle Cruise ride script, and a lot of people found them annoying or thought they were just fan service for Disney park obsessives. But I think they are doing something more interesting than that. Frank has been alive for 400 years. He has experienced more grief, more loss, more suffering than any human can really comprehend. And somewhere along the way, he found this coping mechanism: bad jokes, absurd, silly, completely harmless jokes that ask nothing of anyone, jokes that don't threaten anyone, that don't carry weight, that can be laughed off or groaned at and forgotten. There's something almost defensive about it. The jokes are his armor. If he keeps things light, if he keeps things funny, he does not have to engage with the weight of what he is. The tourist laugh at the puns and have a nice day and go home, and Frank spend another evening at the river, and nothing has to be real. The jokes are his way of not engaging with the horror of his situation. And when Lily by the end of the film make up on herself, that's not just a sweet callback, that's her speaking his language, telling him in the only way she knows how that she see him, not just a 400-year-old cursed man, but the person who built a life of harmless joke and fake adventure because it was the only way to bear an unbearable existence. This is a smaller detail, but I love it. Frank's boat is called La Cula. Cula in ancient mythology is a moon goddess, Mama Cula, the goddess of the moon. The boat is literally named after the moon, and the flowers, the tears of the moon, only bloom under a blood moon. The tree is connected to the moon. The boat is named for the moon. Frank, knowingly or not, named his boat after the thing he's been chasing for 400 years. He built his entire temporary life around the symbol of the thing he can't quite reach. And ultimately, at the climax, Frank crashes his boat, his moon, into the river to free everyone. He sacrificed the symbol to achieve the thing the symbol represented. That's genuinely elegant symbolism, and it's buried in a PG-13 adventure movie about a theme park ride. I'm choosing to find that delightful. The film is set during World War I, and this is not arbitrary. 1916 specifically is one of the bloodiest years of the war. The Battle of the Somme, the Battle of Verdun, millions of men dying in the mud for a few hundred yards of territory. This is killing as many soldiers as bullets. Into this context, really arrive with the idea of flour that can curse any disease, heal any wound. The stakes are not just personal or adventures, they are about the scale of human suffering happening right now in her world, in her time. And the German antagonist, Prince Joachim, represents the other side of that equation. He wants the same flower but for domination. He wants to use it to win a war, to make Germany's army unkillable, the same healing power weaponized. The film is set in 1960 and it asks, when you find something that could heal the world, who gets to decide how it's used, and what does it mean that the people most urgently seeking it are not doing so for peaceful reasons? There's a real world echo here about medical research, about technology, about who controls what gets developed and deployed and for whose benefit. The film does not answer these questions, but the fact that it's asking them, even quietly, even while people are wrestling CGI conquestator made of snakes, that matters. Alright, let's talk about what this movie is actually about. When you strip away the adventure and the supernatural stuff, because I think Jungle Cruise is one of those films that if you are willing to look at some genuinely uncomfortable things to say about the real world. Every culture, every mythology, every great story, tradition has some variant of this idea. If you try to dominate nature, nature will destroy you. The conquistadors came to the Amazon looking to take from it. The jungle consumed them, literally, physically, and horribly. Their bodies became habitat, and we are living through this right now in a way that the film does not directly address but absolutely rhymes with. Climate change, the Amazon deforestation crisis, which is genuinely one of the biggest ecological disasters happening in real time. A forest that has been the lungs of the planet for millions of the years being cleared for cattle, ranching and agriculture and mining. And what do we keep experiencing? Flooding, fires, disease, ecological collapse in regions that were stripped of the things that kept them stable. I'm not saying the movie made this connection deliberately, but the visual of colonizer becoming part of the jungle, their bodies invaded and transformed by the thing they tried to conquer, feels deeply resonant in 2021 and even more so today. Nature does not need us to take care of it. It survives long after we are gone, as it always has. What the jungle in Jungle Cruise seem to be doing in its curse is just demonstrating that truth. Try to conquer us, and we will become part of you, whether you want that or not. Lily's entire arc is a lesson I think about more than I expected to when I first watched this film. She does not wait for the establishment to validate her. She does not keep asking for permission. She does the work. She finds the evidence. She goes to the places people said she could not go. And at the end, when the establishment wants to reward her with the thing they denied her at the beginning, she turns it down. That is so real. The number of people, not just women, but anyone operating outside the established hierarchy, who spend years doing extraordinary work while being told they don't belong. And then the moment their work can no longer be ignored, the institution that excluded them wants credit for bringing them in, wants to be part of the society story they spent years suppressing, and the psychologically healthy, genuinely powerful response the one lady demonstrates is to recognize that invitation for what it is, not a reconciliation, not a genuine welcome. It's the institution protecting itself, wanting to observe what it cannot defeat, and the only real power movie is not need them anymore. There is something really healthy in the idea that the goal was never to join the club. The goal was to do the thing that mattered. The club is just a building. The work is what's real. This is something that movies and television keep returning to because it's genuinely true. Immortality is not a gift. The fantasy of living forever sounds amazing until you sit with it for more than 5 minutes. Everyone you love will die. Everything you build will eventually crumble. Every relationship, every joy, every source of meaning is temporary, and you are not. The world changed, and you are stuck in the version of yourself that was frozen at the moment the curse hit. You know more than anyone around you because you have seen more, but you can't fully live because you have already lived everything. Frank is the best argument the film makes for accepting mortality. He's been alive for 4 centuries, and what he wants more than anything, more than romance or adventure or resolution, is to die. Not because he is suicidal or hopeless, but because that is the thing that gives life meaning. The ending of a story is what allows the story to have a shape. Without an ending, there is just continuation, endless continuation, and that's not living, that's endurance. The moment when the curse breaks and Frank take a breath, just a normal mortal breath, and Lily watches him and asks if he okay. That is one of the most genuinely moving moments in recent Disney blockbusters, I think, because it does not say yes, I'm great, let's celebrate. He just exhales like he's been holding his breath for 400 years, which in a way he has. Frank lives through performance, every tour, every pun, every stage danger, and the film seems to be saying something about the cost of that, the cost of living inside a constructed reality rather than an honest one. When Frank finally tells Lily the truth, all of it, the relationship deepens immediately, not because the truth is easy or comfortable, but because it's real. You can't genuinely connect with someone while performing. You can entertain them, you can make them feel safe, but actual connection requires actual honesty. This is maybe the most universal thing the film has to say. We all perform to some degree. We all have a version of ourselves we put on for tourists. The variant that's confident and capable and has good jokes, and the relationships that really matter are the ones where we stop performing, where we say where we say, heroes who I actually am, here's what I am actually carrying, and wait to see if the other person is still there. Lily is still there. Every time Frank show her sometimes real, she responds to the real thing, not the performance, and I think that's what he has not had in 400 years. Not someone to impress, but someone to be honest with. Alright, Jungle Cruise is the most recent in a line of Disney films that try to turn theme park attractions or adventure properties into franchise starters. Let's talk about how it stack up. The obvious comparison is Pirates of the Caribbean, specifically the first one, Curse of the Black Pearl from 2003. And honestly, the comparison is both unfair and entirely fair, depending on what angle you are coming from. Pirates of the Caribbean worked because it had three things that were genuinely exceptional: a villain who was terrifying and philosophically interesting, Captain Barbossa in that first film, a protagonist with genuine tension and ambiguity, Jack Sparrow before he got overused and diluted, and a mythology that felt completely fresh at the time. The Undead Pirates, the Moonlight Curse, the whole visual language of the film, there was nothing quite like it, and the filmmaking, Gore Verbinski really understood how to blend tone, held everything together. Jungle Cruise has comparable ingredients but does not have quite the same mastery of tone. Frank is genuinely a great character, but he's not as magnetic as Jack Sparrow at his first appearance. The mythology is rich, but the film sometimes rushes past it, and the villain situation, two villains handled in a much more streamlined way. But here's where I had pushed back on the simple pirates is better narrative Lily Hortown is a more actively interesting protagonist than Will Turner. Will Turner was fine, he was handsome and had noble intentions, and that's mostly it. Lily has genuine expertise, genuine agency, genuine character. She drives the story. That's a meaningful improvement compared to Haunted Mansion, the original 2003 version with Eddie Murphy. Jungle Cruise is vastly superior, not even a contest. Haunted Mansion tried to build a family comedy around one of the Disney's most beloved attractions and produced something that satisfied almost no one. Jungle Cruise at least has real stakes, real characters, and real craft in the filmmaking. Compared to Tomorrowland 2015, it's more fun and less pretentious, but also less ambitious. Tomorrowland, for all its flaws, was genuinely trying to say something about optimism and the future and what we owe to the next generation. It was a mess, but it was a mess with ideas. Jungle Cruise is more content to be an adventure film that gestures at ideas. Whether that's a step forward or backwards depends on what you value. The film that Jungle Cruise most reminds me of actually is not a Disney theme park movie at all. It's The Mummy from 1999. Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, adventure and mythology and horror element and humor set in an exotic historical location. And the thing that made The Mummy so beloved was largely the chemistry between its lead and the film's villainess to be genuinely funny without undermining its own stakes. Jungle Cruise is going for the exact same thing and it's get there most of the time. The chemistry between Johnson and Blunt is good, not Brandon Fraser and Rachel Weisz level, but good. The humor lands more than it does not, and the supernatural stakes feel earned by the end. Is a sequel warranted? After the film's release, Dwayne Johnson said discussions were underway based on the world they built. There is definitely material for more, but I had want the sequel to lean harder into the moral complexity and the mythology and trust the audience with the heavier stuff rather than rushing past and the interesting ideas to get back to the action. Okay, let's talk numbers because this is where things get genuinely complicated. Jungle Cruise had a production budget of $200 million. $200 million. That is a lot of money when you factor in marketing and promotional cost, which is standard industry practice. The total combined spend was reportedly around $362 million, and to break even, the film would have needed to gross around $500 million worldwide. It made $221 million theoretically worldwide total, which on a pure cost versus revenue calculation means Jungle Cruise lost money, a significant amount of money. But, and this is a genuinely important, but it was not that simple because Jungle Cruise released simultaneously in theaters and on Disney Plus with premiere access, meaning you could pay $29.99 to watch it on streaming on opening day instead of going to the theater. In its first 30 days on Disney Plus, they generated approximately $66 million, so you can add that to the theatrical total, which brings you closer to 87 million. Still not 362 million, but the gap is narrowing. And then there's the context. July 2021, we were still deep in pandemic territory. About 85% of US cinemas had reopened, but the Delta variant was surging. People were nervous, international markets were significantly impaired, theaters in Brazil and parts of Europe were still restricted. Any honest financial analysis of the Jungle Cruise has to acknowledge that it was released into one of the most disrupted theatrical markets in cinema history. With critics, the film landed at 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not great, but not terrible either. The more meaningful number is the audience score, which was significantly higher. Audience who saw it tended to like it considerably more than critics did. The cinema score was A-, which is actually pretty strong for a big blockbuster. That A- means the people who want to see it left happy, which is worth something. The general critical consensus was mixed to slightly negative. The chemistry between Johnson and Blunt was praised. The action sequences were fine. The script was derivative and overstuffed. The CGI for the conquistadors was weak, and the film felt like it was assembled from spare parts of better movies. I think that's mostly fair, with one qualification: the spare parts of better movies criticism is almost always applied to adventure films that are actually pretty solid. Fun, well-made entertainment. Raiders of the Lost Ark was assembled from spare parts of classic adventure serials. The Mummy was assembled from spare parts of classic horror and adventure films. The issue is not where your ingredients came from, it's whether you do something interesting with them. Jungle Cruise does something interesting with its ingredient about 70% of the time. That's not a masterpiece, but it's also not a failure. Alright, honest time, let me lay out as clearly as I can what this film gets right and what it gets wrong. I'm going to try not to pull the punches in either direction. The cast, this is the non-negotiable win. Don Johnson and Emily Blunt are both excellent in their roles and their scenes together. The banter, the building trust, the moment where the performance drops and something real shows up, those scenes work. They have chemistry. It's not the electric, dangerous kind of chemistry, more like the comfortable, becoming romantic kind, which actually suits these characters well. Jack Whitehall is warm and funny and find more in McGregor than the script always give him room for. Jazz Plemons is having an absolute blast, being weird and eccentric and terrible, and Edgar Ramirez bring a genuine sadness to Edgar that the character deserved. Frank's character arc. I have talked about this already, but it's bear repeating. The reveal that Frank is Francisco and the subsequent unpacking of what that means and what it's cost him is genuinely moving. Dwayne Johnson is not an actor you expect to anchor something emotionally resonant, but he pulls it off. There are moments in the second half of this film where I found myself actually feeling things, which is more than I expected from a movie based on a theme park ride. The supernatural mythology, the curse itself is interesting. The way the conquistadors' bodies have been transformed over centuries by the jungle is visually striking, even if the CGI does not always hold up and the conceptual idea behind it is rich. The rules of the curse cannot leave sight of the river, Patrikios if forced away, are consistent and get used cleverly in the plot. The ending, the final sequence, Frank sacrifices himself, Lily breaking the curse, the Royal Society rejection lands emotionally in a way the rest of the film sometimes does not. It earns its conclusion, and the very last scene with Lily teaching Frank to drive is warm and genuine and funny and a nice way to close out. The period setting 1916 is a great backdrop for this story. The world in cause medicine failing to keep up with the scale of death, the urgency of finding something that could change everything. It all gives Lily's quest real stakes without needing to manufacture them. Now here's what I want to focus on, because I think this scene gets dismissed as comic relief when there's actually something more interesting happening. The Puka Minshona in these films are interesting in a complicated way. On one hand, having indigenous characters pretend to be cannibals, even if it's explicitly a fake tourist attraction in the story, is a choice. A choice the film has to answer for. The movie is definitely aware of the history of jungle adventures and colonial tourism's ugly relationship with indigenous people, and at times it tries to subvert that. But having the tribe participate in their own caricature, even willingly, even for comedy, does not fully escape that trap. On the other hand, Trader Sam, specifically played by Vanessa Falcon, is presented as someone with real power, real knowledge, and a genuine relationship with Frank built on mutual respect over hundreds of years. She is not a sideshow, she is one of the most important sources of actual truth in the film, and Frank defers to her in a way he does not defer to almost anyone. The film is messy about this, and I think that messiness is worth acknowledging rather than just skipping past. This is the big one, the twist, and for a lot of people, I think this is where the movie either earns them or loses them entirely. Lily shoots Frank, not fatally. She does not know it will not kill him, but she shoots him and he goes into a river. He dies seemingly, and she is devastated because by this point, despite everything, she trusts him, she cares about him, and then the next morning, he's just there, fine, making coffee, and that's when it comes out. Frank is not Frank Wolf. His name is Francisco Lopes de Heredia, and he's been alive since the 1500s. He was one of the Agios men. He has been trapped at the Amazon for 400 years, unable to die, unable to live, waiting for someone with the arrowhead who could finally show him where the tree is so he could break the curse and just rest. What I love about this scene is how Emily Blunt plays it. She's not horrified, she's not repulsed, she's quiet processing, and then she say something like, "How long have you been waiting?" And there's this weight in his answer. 400 years. Think about what that means. Everyone he's ever cared about is dead. Everyone he's ever known is dust. He's watched the world change from conquistador to colonialism to World War One, and through all of it, he's been stuck at the river, running fake boat tours, making terrible puns, keeping himself from going completely mad by staying busy. It reframes every single scene that came before it. The boat full of sketches and research and maps. He was not just curious. He's been obsessively working on these for centuries. The fake dangers, they are not just a con, they are what passes for meaning in an endless existence. The Geiger named Proxima, she is one of a long line of Geigers, all given the same name because connections keep ending, and he's learned that naming things after something eternal at least give them continuity. Frank's reveal is genuinely emotionally resonant, and Don Johnson, who does not always get credit for this, plays it with real vulnerability. The climax of the film has everyone covering on the tree. Frank, Lily, Agur, Joshim, the cursed conspirators. The tree bloom under the blood moon, but only briefly, and there is only one petal for each cursed person. One petal break the curse, one petal lift immortality, and here's the moment that works maybe more than any other action beat in the film. Frank tells Lily he needs to sacrifice himself. He crashes his boat into the river's flow, cutting off the water to the temple. This drags Agur and the other conquistadors back into the stone wall of the temple, their cuts pulling them back to the river. And with the river blocked, they are frozen inside permanently. It's a brutal, actually, when you think about it. These men, already having suffered for centuries of cursed immortality, are now entombed in stone forever, conscious forever. And Frank turns to stone too. But Lily uses the petal on him and she breaks his curse, which means for the first time in 400 years, Francisco Lopes de Herda is mortal again. He is free to live, he is free to die, and the film presents this as the happy ending, which actually it is, because that is not the tragedy here. The tragedy was never being able to rest. I want to highlight this because it's a small moment, but it carries everything. At the end, the Royal Society, the same institution that barred Lily from membership at the start of the film, offers her full membership. Her research is vindicated. She found the tree, she has proof they want her now, and she said no, politely, clearly no, and it's McGregor who speaks for her, which is its own beautiful bit of character development, because at the beginning he could barely get through a speech without her feeding him lines, and he tells them essentially that she does not need their validation. She never did. That's the thematic payoff of the whole film. It's not about the tree, it's not really about the adventure, it's about a woman who refused to let an institution define her worth. And at the end of the story, when that institution finally offers her what it withheld, she is moved so far beyond needing it that their offer is almost quaint. That's good writing. When it works, Jungle Cruise genuinely work. Alright, let's talk about people, because I think this is where Jungle Cruise has the most to offer and also where it stumbles the hardest. The characters in this film are fascinating ideas that do not always get the space they deserve. Let me start with Frank, because he's the most psychologically complex character in the movie, arguably more complex than Lily, even though she is ostensibly the protagonist. Think about what Frank actually is. He is a man who made a moral choice 400 years ago that was unquestionably the right things to do. He sided with the oppressed against the oppressor. He betrayed his own group to protest innocent people. By any measure, that's heroic, and his reward, because life is sometimes cruel and stories know that, is 4 centuries of isolation. He did not get to die a hero. He did not get a legacy or a grave or anyone to remember him. He got more time, an infinite amount of time that he did not ask for and cannot escape. And what did he do with it? He built something, about a business, a community, after a fashion, with trader Sam and the tribe. He filled the emptiness with nice, bad jokes, fake adventures, gullible tourists, not because he is frivolous, but because the alternative to filling the silence is sitting inside it. And 4 centuries is a long time to sit with silence. There is something deeply Buddhist about Frank's situation, actually, and I don't think the film fully leans into it. The idea of a soul that can't move on because of unfinished business. The idea that even the right choices carry consequences. The idea of attachment to the river, to the past, to a version of yourself that's been frozen in time while everything else changed. Frank is also defined by his dishonesty, and this is interesting because the film asks us to root from him while acknowledging that he is a con man. He lies constantly. His entire professional life is a fabrication. Even when he finally tells Lily the truth about himself, he withholds the most important information for most of the second act. He hides that he knows where the tree is. He hides his true identity. He hides everything until circumstances strip away his ability to hide. And yet, and this is the thing that makes him likable rather than just shady, his dishonesty is never predatory. He's not lying to hurt anyone. He's lying to survive, to get through another century, to keep himself from falling apart. When the stakes are genuinely high, when it actually matters, Frank makes the right call every time. He gave up being on the winning side 400 years ago to do what was right. He does it again at the end of the film. The thing the movie gets most right about Frank is his exhaustion. Not depression exactly, but a kind of very tiredness that comes from living too long. Diane Johnson, who is, let's be honest, not known for playing introspective, haunted characters, actually finds something real here. There are scenes where he's just sitting at the back of the boat, watching the jungle go by, and the look on his face is just tired. Not sad, not angry, just the look of a man who has seen all of this before, many times. The character arc for Frank is essentially learning to want things again. He stopped wanting anything centuries ago because wanting things when you cannot die and cannot live is a form of torture. And then Lily shows up, this impossible, brilliant, unstoppable woman who genuinely believes she can change the world, and she reawakens something in him. Jungle Cruise is a flawed, inconsistent, sometimes genuinely wonderful film that keeps almost achieving greatness without quite getting there. Its best moment, and there are real best moments, are evidence of how good this kind of movie can be when you have talented people making real choices about character and story. Its worst moments are evidence of franchise anxiety, committee thinking, and the Disney tendency to sand down edge that might alienate any segment of the audience. It's not the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise launcher it was hoping to be, but it's also not the creative failure some critics treated it as. It's something in between, a genuinely ambitious studio adventure movie that succeeded more than it failed, and deserved a fairer hearing than COVID era box office performance and mixed reviews gave it. So here's where I land. Jungle Cruise is a movie that I think about more than I expected to, and I think that's because underneath all the CGI and the puns and the franchise building and the theme park branding, there's a story about something real, something that actually matters. It's a story about what it's mean to live too long, about the things that trap us, curses we did not choose, situations we were born into, histories we are carrying that predated us. It's about the difference between existing and living, about how the same beautiful thing are miracles, flowers, our healing power, the ability to survive anything, becomes something completely different depending on the hands that hold it and the hearts that want it. It's about a woman who refuses to ask for permission, and a man who stopped believing he deserved anything good, and a brother who was punished for who he loved. All of them taking a boat down a river that's been a site of violence and a colonization and wonder for centuries, and somehow, despite everything, finding something worth finding. Here's what I think the film did best and what I want to leave you with. It gave us a kind of ending we don't see very often. A man who's been alive for 400 years gets to die, not tragically, not as punishment, as a gift, as a relief, as the thing he's been waiting for all along. And the woman who makes it possible does so not because she pities him or because it's the pragmatic choice, but because she cares about what he actually needs, not what would be useful to her. What he needs, that's love, honestly, not the sweeping romantic kind the film gestured toward, though that's there too, the deeper kind, the kind where you see someone clearly enough to understand what they are carrying and you help them put it down. Jungle Cruise has a lot of problems. I have named most of them: the CGI, the tonal inconsistency, the squandered villain, the mediocre representation issues, the derivating plotting. These are real criticism and I stand by all of them. But underneath those problems, there is a movie with a genuine heart, a movie that, when it trusts itself, does something emotionally real, and I think that counts for something. I think it counts for quite a lot. My final rating, if you want one, 3.5 star out of 5. A flawed, fascinating, occasionally beautiful mess of a film that's worth your time if you are willing to engage with it seriously rather than just let it wash over you. And here's what I want to know from you. Did you feel what I felt in the second half of this film when Frank's backstory started to unravel? Or was the CGI and the plotting enough to pull you out of it before you got there? Let me know in the comments, because honestly the conversation about this film is more interesting to me than any star rating could capture. Also, do you think a sequel would work? Could they build on what worked here and fix what did not? Or is this one of those movies that's better as a standalone that almost worked than as the start of a franchise that probably will not? Let me know. If you made it this far, honestly, thank you. This was a long one, but Jungle Cruise weirdly turned out to be a worth the extended time. Some movies are. The ones that look simple on the outside and turn out to have something real buried underneath. That's all from me. I shall see you in the